You know, if you're Meghan Markle, you're always trying to rewrite the story, aren't you? You've noticed that. And the problem is, it doesn't really matter what you do. And I know this is an age-old story when you think about it, because what you've got with Meghan is time and time again, the true story emerges. We don't know the real background to those bullying claims because Meghan Markle herself has never really wanted to address them until she sees that report that was snowballed, whatever you want to call it, by the late Queen Elizabeth, because, as many people suspect, she was being kind. If you think about it, Meghan always wants her truth out there, but consequently it doesn't always play particularly well. Now, the problem that you have with Meghan is, we can pick on many different things, but she's just not resonating with the audience. Now, people are saying, oh, well, you expect scathing reviews from, of course, the critics who are sharpening their knives at her latest endeavour with Love Meghan, whatever it's called, out on Netflix. It's not really a case of that. I don't have a problem with it, truly. I've not watched the show, as many of the chums know who watch this channel. I don't have a streaming company. I'm not interested enough. I think we pay enough for everything, hence the reason this channel's free. You get the picture. But on a serious note, behind the scenes, this went on with Meghan Markle. And again, it just tells you everything because, well, let me explain. Morning, chums. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back. Always nice to have your company, whatever you're doing today. Hope you're keeping well. It's a little bit better, isn't it, weather today? You can tell, can't you? Yes, Neil, you can say that, of course. Yes, Neil. After you. Yes, Neil. It's always better just to be out in the air and not the elements. I do like filming, as I mentioned the other day, outside. I get so fed up with being in the studio. And also, between you and I, without being in the studio, you're not told what to do by somebody in your earpiece. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, you know how television works. Go to this now. Cut to the break, Neil. You think, oh, hang on a minute. I'm finished yet. We're just chatting. So that's the thing. So somebody who's not really chatting, as we know, is Meghan Markle with her audience, because quite frankly, people are not tuning in on a big scale. And I put it all down to the fact that actually the content is just a dud. It doesn't really matter who you're breaking. Crafting, the sort of things that she was doing on this Christmas special, all being done before, better really, and better actually, by content creators. Now, as I've told you, the staff behind this particular endeavour, Meghan claims, is an 80-person crew. And when you think this particular image of the crew all applauding Queen Meghan, as she likes to be called on set, oh yes, Queen Meghan, jokingly, but there's a serious element to that. Well, there they are, all applauding. And the reason being is, and I often say this, Meghan Markle has not an original idea, right? And what Meghan does is she looks back in history. What did other people do? Now, lots of big stars, for instance, and Meghan is a lover of old Hollywood glamour, reads all the biographies. And a lot of big stars in the day would do this, right? They would basically get a picture of them laughing, like Marilyn Monroe with George Cukor in 1962 on her last unfinished movie, or Betty Davis and Joan Crawford with Bob Aldridge on What Happened to Baby Jane. And if he then turns on them, they can say, well, we got on well, look, here's the proof. This is Meghan Markle's proof. She's dragged the crew in, they're behind her, and she's wanting to send holiday wishes to all of those people. However, behind the scenes, I can tell you the crew were dismayed, because I've spoken to some of the crew members, and the bottom line was they knew that this show was a dud when they were making it, simply because Meghan wouldn't listen to advice, wouldn't offer, wouldn't take any opinion. For instance, they suggested, we really do need to see some close personal people. What about the people that you claimed you were friends with since you were 17? Maybe even having a Zoom thing if you don't want to bring them into the fake kitchen, so they could be on a thing and she's, giving the lecture of how you do this particular recipe. Meghan only wanted to do her own thing. She wanted to bring in celebrities. Celebrities didn't want to come in to the programme because, well, they can sniff a dud. These people that are applauding the end of a very lucrative contract. They thought at the beginning that Netflix were going to run with this as a sort of at least 4 times a year series with specials, Christmas, Easter, and then a summer run. Meghan Markle, due to the fact that she doesn't want to take advice and her inexplicable belief that everything she's doing is right, has basically seen this entire, allegedly, 80-person crew now on hiatus. Now, they could come back on other shows, that's the freelance world, but actually they all know the one reason why this failed was simply that Meghan didn't want any close family or friends, didn't want to involve her children, and only brought in Prince Harry at the 11th hour, knowing that this would appease Netflix. This is the reason why this show bombed, amongst many others. But of course, it's good to share. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.